It certainly does. Newbee with their fourth pickup now. I mean, the one beauty about RNG is they haven't really revealed much. Like, you've got a Kunkka, sure, but the Mirana AA has been pretty standard overall. Newbie more so the same, but the Leshrac does indicate some sort of push coming out from Newbie. So we'll see how they follow up with this fourth pickup now. Got to see some more calls, Newbie. What were they intending? I mean, the Void's gone, the Gyro is gone. Those are the two most popular over the last couple days. What else is left?
Could see something like the Beastmaster coming out once again. I don't think it's a bad pick for Newbie at all. It gives them solid control, comes online fast, dominates a lane. They go with the Tidehunter instead, which gives them that team fight they need. It's a tanky offlaner, does a lot against physical cores. It's a good matchup against a Kunkka, at least in terms of getting your own control down. It is pretty fantastic for that. Does tie in this draft rather well, I'd say. Their plus one's definitely going to be the one to watch out for. I like the response from RNG though. Slark is really good here. You have that Tide to really just feed off of if you want to build Agi stacks. The rest of the lineup is really squishy for you to go into. You have the boat buff to play with from the Kunkka, so you're just going to be lasting that much longer. The Ancient Apparition's already on your side, so you don't have to worry about its ultimate coming out. Unless the Rubik steals it, but that tends to be pretty hard because AA does hang in the back for the most part.
Yep.
So, lots of value in that Slark pick. Wondering what Newbie does to counteract that. They don't really have the best ways of keeping that hero in control. The Leshrac, you could argue, is a response to that. I mean, is a good response to that Slark. Just because he doesn't need to see the Slark to damage him, so his Shadow Dance is not going to be doing too much. But what else are you going to be building off of? And what exactly are the lanes right now? The Tidehunter is most likely in the off. Is the Leshrac going down mid? I mean, you could have the Rubik down mid. That's an option as well. Or is it Leshrac safe and something else down mid?
Question. Newbee, RNG, final banouts, and we'll get to see how it all pans out. I think it's good that Newbee's left their draft rather open, at the very least, so they can lane however they wish, just depending on the matchups. 15 seconds reserve time, Newbee. Not much time left for this. You know, at this stage, I'm kind of more curious as to what position 1 Newbee will run, or whether they'll just run the pos 1 Leshrac and pick another mid to go instead. It kind of looks like it may turn out that way. I mean, I'd still love to see a proper position 1 carry, but the Lesh can work. We see it all the time, especially in Chinese qualifiers. They do tend to love running that position 1 Lesh. RNG. Final ban out now for them as well.
5 seconds remaining.
Newbie does get to close out their draft with last pick, so they do have that surprise factor going in here. There are a couple of pos ones that could work out if they are going to run that Lesh mid. You have the Tidehunter, you could easily go for the Lifestealer. It's a very strong combination. You have that natural vehicle. It doesn't give you too much in the way of team fights, but it's a durable core. Doesn't care for the magic damage coming out. We'll still have to watch out for that AA. The matchup against Slark, you don't see it too often. I'd say Slark does enjoy it for a bit. But as long as that ultimate is down, I think you definitely get a lot of mileage with something like the Lifestealer. But that response from RNG closing out their draft, the OD, is solid. It's just really good. The only hero you can't really burst down is probably the Lesh, maybe the Rubik, if they itemize right. Otherwise, the Tidehunter is probably not going to have the best time here. And it ties in this team fight draft from RNG quite nicely. You have great solo pickoff with the Mirana if you can land that arrow. The Slark does have really good single target control and damage as well, of course. The OD ties it in with the Kunkka and the AA, so when you get into those 5v5s, you got that big spell. Newbee, they go into the Ursa.
Who's this? That's
I mean, we haven't seen the hero in a while. It's interesting to pick when you know they already have the OD. You have a lot of ways of keeping this Ursa in check and just controlling him up before the BKB's up. So I'm guessing Newbee's going to have Fonte really build up to that BKB fast. Maybe something like Blink BKB, basically, with a Morbid Mask if you really want. Now, I don't see that being out of the question for Newbee, simply because he has a lot of kiting issues here. Slark should be able to enjoy that matchup as well, but they picked it really fast. They surely have a plan in mind, and that is something I look forward to seeing, just how they execute this kind of draft. Ursa, of course, just not the most common hero nowadays. Overall, I'd say RNG's draft really looks a bit more favorable here, just because it fits in together much nicer. Newbee, it's a bit more haphazard. You do have decent team fight. I mean, you have a Tide. You're always going to have a good team fight. We see if they can steal big spells and turn it around. RNG could actually struggle. The biggest wild card here is that Ursa last pick. It's just been so long since we've seen Ursa in this position that I'm not quite sure what we can expect as the game goes on.
I'm not feeling very confident in that Ursa. It seems like they've specifically chosen it to go up against the Slark, because the Slark loves getting close and, you know, just getting those hits off, and Ursa loves doing the same thing. I just don't feel that confidence. I mean, you talked about it in the draft, the OD loves versing Ursa. You just kite it around, you just use those arcane orbs and just destroy him over time. And if he enrages, you just steal more int. So who cares? Just steal more int and sanities after the enrage is done.
Yeah, it's again, it's a strange last pick. They go into it really fast. The matchup against Slark is probably iffy at best. The OD is really the big question mark until the BKB comes out. When the BKB is out, of course, Fonte should be able to clean up anyone in the map. There's no question about it. Like, everyone's just going to melt. Issue is, can you get that BKB timing at a good moment? You know, are you going to be hitting that timing quite well? If you hit it well or hit it early, are you going to be running out of charges too fast? That tends to be an issue. We've seen a lot of Ursa games where it goes okay, fine. You know, you get your BKB fast, and then the game lasts a bit too long. You're stuck at 35 minutes in with a 5-second BKB. You don't get to do as much as you'd want, and you certainly aren't as tanky as you'd expect. So it's going to be interesting to see just how fast Newbee opts to play with his Ursa.
Certainly will be. As it'll be a 2-for-2 Bannerun start, nothing too special. Very even between these two teams. No fights will break out either. Of course, as per usual, we do have a bit of a try lane to start the top lane. See if they can find an opening. I imagine FF will probably just TP down to the bot lane very, very soon, and that's exactly what he does. Won't even bother trying to dish out any harassment up top. But another thing you did mention in the draft phase, Flywin and dogfights on this Kunkka Mirana. With the X-Torrent, you do have the setup for an easy arrow. There's not really much Fonte can do about this if they do decide to connect it. I mean, he has Fade, who can use Disruption. That's really it.
Yeah, you have a way of breaking off that combination at the least, but even if you do break it up, if RNG just space out their spell usage, they can actually just follow up right after the Disruption anyway. So it's going to be a tough call. It's going to be very hard for Fate to find that saving grace here for his Ursa. At the same time, you know, we've seen a lot of Shadow Demons do a lot of work with Shadow Poison stacks. If they can keep piling that on, it's going to be pretty rough for RNG.
Well, speaking of rough, RNG's having a bit of issues down this bot lane. Wizard on this Tide, just going to be able to dominate this Slark for now. You've also got that combination with the Rubik, so the Fade Bolt Anchor Smash damage reduction basically makes it so Slark doesn't have any attack once they've used both those abilities. And so far, Monet, he's burned through, I believe, 3 tangos. YG and Wizard are only going to get more aggressive as their levels go up. And well, Cold Feet will come out. Monet doesn't have Pounce though, so they can't get the Cold Feet freeze off. Opted for the Dark Pact instead. So the lane will continue like this, but Monet's just going to really... I don't believe he's going to find much farm.
He definitely isn't. I can understand why you go for that Dark Pact. As you mentioned, the debuffs are just way hard to play with. So I can see why you'd go for that. Overall, though, it does cost you early kill ops. Like you can't really do too much besides farm the lane here. I'm not sure if Monet is gonna opt for a 1-1-1 build because that is generally pretty spread out. You can kind of do it, but you have seceded a lot of ground already to Newbee down bot.
YG now has a double damage run on the Rubik to make matters worse. So FF might just be dead. Yeah, he is. YG has the Fade Bolt in case he needs it. He doesn't even need to waste the mana, though. That'll be an easy first blood for the side of Newbee. Bit of luck involved, but also some great lanes in this off lane. And we'll have a look at the mid lane and how that's going, as Setsu is up against AQ on the Lesh. And this does just appear to be Setsu favored. The OD, it's very rare they lose lanes.
Yeah, it definitely is. This is a matchup that Setsu can abuse quite well. Doesn't have to worry about anything silly coming out. It's a fairly straightforward lane for AQ as well. Just trying to find as much as he can. Not going to be able to really apply too much pressure on Setsu. Setsu, unless there's a rotation down mid, this OD should be perfectly fine trading farm. Should be pulling ahead by a slight amount.
AQ actually went for the level 1 Lightning Storm as well. Not feeling confident to get those last hits up against Setsu on that OD. I can't blame him, as Setsu is just easily finding those last hits every time. AQ going to try and use the Lightning Storm instead. Meanwhile, top, Faith falling very low, as well as Fonte on that Ursa. It seems that the Kunkka Mirana lane is getting a bit too hard to deal with, as Torrent is coming out. Faith will dodge it for now. Fonte going to try and protect his support. Will do so successfully. But with this Tidebringer now at level 2, it's just so hard. Like, Arrow connects as well. He gets Disruption at the very least, but there's the Torrent set up for Flywin. Another Torrent. Fonte, he's so low. X up. Faith. Meanwhile, Monet and YG going at it down to the bot lane, but Faith should just end up dying. Flywin goes for the Torrent. Faith has to sidestep. And with the Tidebringer, you are gone.
It took a bit of time for Flywin to secure that kill, but he does manage to finally find it. This is going to be an issue for Newbee. There's a lot of pressure on this Ursa to get that good start and to start snowballing, secure that early Roche, secure these early fights for the OD becomes a massive factor before the Slark's going to be majorly big. And it's been a rough start for Fonte. The lane's just not been turning out well. The laning duo with that Shadow Demon's just not that potent. You know, you tend to see Ursas with something like the Shadow Shaman for hold, something that can give you free right clicks for Fury swipes. Shadow Demon is not one of those heroes.
He definitely is not. Of course, one hero that has been having a good time on Newbee is YG on the Rubik. Currently 3-0 now. He's found FF for the second time this game, just by himself. Just been able to right click him down. And this off lane for Newbee is continuing to do pretty darn well. I mean, they've ensured Monet doesn't farm overly well. Wizard is almost level 5 now. Monet about the same, but I suppose Monet is going to have a bit of catch-up farm. Then again, I mean, that Ursa, it's not like he's really escalating anywhere either. He does try to apply some pressure onto Flywin and that Kunkka. Flywin won't mind. He's got a Mirana coming in. X is up. Torrent's there as well. Arrow does not connect. Oh, dogfights. That was a very early arrow to be thrown. He didn't even wait out the Torrent and made Flywin use the X and then missed the Torrent as well.
Rather unfortunate for RNG. They really need to be landing these combos to continue to apply that pressure. At the same time, if you take a look at the state of the lanes, your Kunkka is still winning harder than the Tide is down bot. For the most part, you have a lot more farm on Flywin than you do on Wizard, but he can rectify that with a trip to a jungle camp later on. Can clear those quite fast. Interesting to note, Wizard did go for no levels in Kraken Shell. Doesn't feel pressured at all. So he's just confident enough to go in with a Gush, Anchor Smash up, apply the damage onto Monet, and Monet just can't respond.
It's even the armor reduction though, right? Because every time he does Gush, YG walks up, gets a couple right clicks in. That armor reduction does make it a lot better for the Rubik to get some added damage. As you know, Monet, he does have the shield, the stout shield available, but YG Wizard gonna jump in. Monet cops a hell of a lot more damage. There's just nothing he can do. Like, he's gonna go Shrine up, but until level 6, he's just not safe in this lane.
He definitely isn't. That's the one thing for Newbee that's really paying off. This bot lane has just completely shut down the Slark, much more than the Ursa's been shut down out top. In fact, Fonte, it does feel like he's bounced back quite a fair bit. 37 last hits, not too far behind their own Tidehunter. So he's definitely still finding something on this Ursa.
They're going to try again on Fonte, it seems. Dogfights is there once again on the Mirana.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's
Fonte just going to juke around the tree line, find his way back into the lane somehow. Doesn't really realize FF is also there on the AA, and well, while all that's happening, AQ ends up finding Monet on the Slark. That was no Ravage committed either, he just walked in and took care of business. And with that, it's a 2-4 now. Top lane, Flyone ends up going down to Faith on the Shadow Demon. Newbee, they are finding what they need across the map. They even get the T1 tower thanks to that Leshrac. And AQ just TPs back into the mid lane, gets back to what he's doing. And RNG are falling behind.
Yeah, it's a great start, good aggression coming out from Newbee, just managing to find these openings that they really need. And really abuse the fact that RNG is kind of scrambling right now. They don't quite have their combinations down to pat. We aren't seeing the best usage of the X into arrow just yet. And you are seeing Newbee just get a bit more space than you'd want them to have on RNG side. They wouldn't want to bleed as much out. They are going to try to find a kill up top. It is only Fate.
Yeah, but there's a smoke coming from the side of Newbee as well. But they haven't really popped it. Arrow misses from Dogfights. He couldn't quite find it. There's the smoke I was talking about. It's really only the supports of Newbee that are smoked up, but they're going to go through that mid lane. Wizard has Ravage available. AQ has Diabolic Edict. They just sit in the tree line, and we've seen this before. Force the Fortify out. Scan will be there from RNG, but nobody's there to defend it.
Yeah, it's a rough one. I mean, they understand there were a couple of people in that tree line. They don't go up, and they're just going to be able to take this for free. You're not going to be too upset as Newbee. It's still an objective going your way. You make it easier to reach that Roshan as well, so when the time comes for Fonte to jump in, they are going to be limited to just going by their shrine to contest.
Flyone caught out top lane. Wizard is there. Boat gonna fly in from Flyone. Wizard can still set up with the Ravage and does perfectly as well.
Oh.
Now the stolen boat. YG just took the boat, threw it back at him. Wizard had them both together with the Ravage. You just couldn't ask for a better initiation.
You definitely couldn't, and this is really big for Newbee. Just having that early levels in YC does allow him to have this massive impact on the map. If he can hold on to that ghost ship until the next fight, it's going to give so much value to Newbee. He should try to stay alive as long as possible, because that spell's just way too good.
Certainly. So Newbee are just going to continue applying pressure up at top lane now. Edict popped, AQ straight to it. And there will be no defense coming out from RNG. They'll fortify, they're bringing heroes up. That is in fact going to be enough for Newbee to back. They aren't going to try and force the issue without Ravage. I thought they may have felt confident enough to just keep going with another Edict, but I guess AQ can always come back whenever he wants.
Yeah, there's no pressure there. They do really not want to force the issue out too much. They don't have a Ravage up anymore. And it does look like they are content with just getting more farm on their cores. Fonte just about has his Midas recipe now. So his farm should speed up just a bit more. And of course, once that's done, Expect a blink, expect a morbid mask for sustain at some point, expect an early Roche, although down mid.
Vanities. AQ. Cops at FF with the Ice Blast after the Astral pops out. Finds an easy pickup. Well, I say easy, it did still take a bit of work and another ultimate, but definitely worthwhile for the side of RNG to slow this Leshrac down. While this is happening, Setsu, who we really haven't talked about much, has been free farming the jungle this whole time. He's currently almost 2k ahead of that Leshrac now. And so he is still going to be a force to be reckoned with once we get into that mid game.
He definitely will be. It's a bit of a surprise that he's gotten all the farm priority over Monet. So Monet actually doesn't have too much space in this jungle to farm up. But that should pay off. As long as Setsu keeps finding those kills when he can and applying pressure on the map, with that blink and the upcoming Kaya, he should be able to dish out the damage needed for RNG.
Well, the tier 1 top does go down, and now an immediate smoke from Newbee. They have that Ravage up. Boat is still available, just barely on YG. He wants to throw it out any second now, but they rush too quick. The smoke breaks. There were heroes on the high ground, and it looks like they will not find anybody. And if that's what if they really wanted that boat, YG, he does not have it any longer.
A bit unfortunate there for Newbee that they are still finding what they want on the map. They've cleared out all the tier 1s now. It's a lot of map control going their way. Much easier for them to reach deeper in this jungle without any sort of pressure coming out from RNG. This should allow them some space to dig in and try to hunt Setsu down.
They're trying to find Monet again on the Slark, and in fact they may still. Faith barely catches a glimpse of him. But Monet will back off. He realizes it's not safe. AQ will get started on pushing in that bot tier 2 tower. Fonte gonna be there with the team. Looks like he's kind of ready to go. Like, he's not really finished farming yet on the Ursa, but he's gonna make some sort of plays happen with his team now. They will X AQ up. Though no torrent will come out. Now the drums pop, they miss Arrow on Wizard. And this is a dangerous team fight to take. Wizard still has Ravage available. But it looks like with Setsu around, they feel confident enough to make some sort of play happen. Newbee do not feel as confident. They just want to get out of there. Though Arrow is not going to connect. Fonte will grab his bounty rune and they will get out safely.
Just a bit of posturing from both sides there. We do get to keep their ultimates and no one's forcing anything out. I have to say, taking a look at Fonte, I'm surprised by his build. He's going for Basher first, which is not too atypical for something like an Ursa. What is the lack of a blink or any sort of mobility item. So he's just gonna have to walk his way up there in these fights and hope that the initiation from Wizard is gonna be enough. Now, Wizard himself is going for that blink, so they'll have a way to start these fights. It's just surprising, you know, you tend to see Ursas with a blink to get into that pit freely as well without anyone finding out for that early rush. But it looks like Fonte really just wants to get into these fights.
Yeah, I guess so. It does allow him to be kited though, as Faith gonna break his smoke from RNG. He's gonna get caught out and there are rotations. Wizard commits the Ravage. They're going after Setsu on the OD and they've caught him out. Ice Blast is there on Faith, but what does it matter? Flywind throws the boat in, stolen from YG again, straight on top of his head, and now Flywind might be dead. Newbee, I mean, I question the Ravage. It was just so quick, but it pays off. The rotations from the Dire were there immediately. And RNG lose their highest net worth hero.
Not only that, they're going to lose out on this Roshan as well. They must understand it's going on. They do scout in.
Arrow, AQ does connect now. They jump on Ursa. Get rid of the big bear. Fonte's got Aegis now though. AQ is being jumped on the Shadow Dance. And yeah, they'll grab one massive kill as well as the Ice Blast. Fonte, he cops it. He's slowed down and he should tick out to the Ice Blast passive. And does. And they actually committed the pounce a little too early. An arrow, though, will connect from dogfights. Still RNG a little bit all over the place. It seems to be a bit of indecision as to whether they should keep going or not. Looks like they'll back off after the Leshrac kill and the Ursa Aegis being used up.
Unfortunate that they don't manage to really make use of that Aegis beyond just basically using Roche as a big creep with lots of gold. Still, that's a pretty good counterplay from RNG. They deny that Aegis out for the most part. That leaves Newbee a bit frustrated, I'm sure. They wanted to get something done, force a team fight out in better terms. Instead, they kind of lose out, and you are seeing signs of life from RNG in that sense. They still have a way of taking these fights. It's just less than 1k lead for Newbee, not massive by any means. So RNG, they've still got a way back in. You are still waiting for Monet to catch a farm. Just about tied up with a Tide Hunter in terms of overall net worth, which is not where you want the Slark to be, but you have a lot of gold on Setsu, and you have a lot of gold on Flywin. These guys are going to be giving you the momentum in these fights that you need until Monet is ready.
Flywin. They get caught out. AQ goes for the split earth rather than the Yule's setup. Now X'd up. He does have his Yule's, but doesn't use it. Gets torrented. Still has faith around. RNG won't really try to initiate anyway. They're on a little bit of a defense. And AQ will just clear out the creep wave, and again goes straight for that T2 mid tower or T2 bot tower. Flywin's going to try and clear it out with the Tidebringer, but he's going to be afraid of that Yule's. Looks like he will not go in. Torrent though will connect. Arrow will be dodged by the Yules of AQ, but now the Ravage straight onto Flywin. He BKBs up, but he's got no help around him. He X's up that Tide. Meanwhile, Setsu gets jumped on by Fontaine, gets ripped apart. FF, the Ice Blast does nothing towards Fontaine, and Flywin is still in massive, massive trouble. Another arrow, it will be dodged down. Flywin's down, and that is 3 heroes down for RNG, as well as the tier 2 tower. Man, oh man. Just domination from this Dire side, John.
Newbee's just finding way too much for the heroes they have right now. They're taking all these early fights, all these early objectives. RNG, they're just not set up for it quite yet. I mean, you see Setsu, you see Flywin, they're around to try to force these fights out. You have the BKB up already on Flywin, but it doesn't make a difference there. Especially once the Ursa's in range anyway. He just goes in, he right-clicks you, and you're gone. Even with that boat buff, eventually you just go down. The key thing for RNG is that their control is not as good as a Ravage. You know, you go in, maybe you get 1x, a torrent on 2 people maybe, and you get the boat follow-up, that's it. Ravage, you just jump in, you pop that thing, it gets control in such a wide area that you're definitely going to be finding more than one for the most part. Even if you just find 2 or 3, it's worthwhile. Much easier to find multiple heroes in. And Newbee has been playing around Wizard quite well. Whenever that spell's off cooldown, they tend to stick together, go to an objective, posture, and then force a fight. And every single time, RNG is forced to react, playing into Newbee's game plan.
Dogfights. Bot lane. Gonna get jumped on straight away from Fontaine YG. Such an easy pickup. They just can't sustain that much HP while the lift's ongoing and Fontaine's on you. And this Ursa, now with the blink, is fully online. We'll be going for that BKB next. And this isn't going to be an early BKB either. So in terms of those charges wearing out that we talked about in the draft, probably not going to happen. Fontaine is just en route to try and win this game for the team. So, mid lane, Monet. Shadow Dance will be popped. Faith in trouble. Should go down. Fontaine looking for a way to get in, and does. Gets the bash off on Monet as well. Now the lift. Monet pounces, but the Ravage Wizard sets it up. Fontaine, though, he doesn't find the Slark kill. He pounces away just barely with about 10-20 HP.
That was pretty close though. Fonte got purged up by the defusal. He got inhibited by the defusal, so his movement speed slowed to a crawl. He didn't have his blink up, and the issue of that Ursa being kited around already showing its face here.
Immediate smoke from RNG now. What are they going to find? Oh, Fonte would be amazing for them. Gotta find the right initiation. He has a blink up. He sees them. Blinks the other way though. Yules is there. He's got help coming in and he gets the enrage off. Now the boat flying in, but it does no damage. Meanwhile, Monet straight on the tide. But Flywind's being chased down on the Kunkka. Monet, what can you do? Absolutely nothing is the answer, as he does end up going down, and Fonte ends up finding Flywind on the Kunkka. And YG is on the hunt for dogfights. He knows he's around there somewhere. He won't find him. But they still find 3 massive pickups, and they're going for even more in the form of Setsu.
Yeah, it's going to be big if they can find this guy. That's going to slow down a lot of his farm. He might be forced to use his BKB.
Oh, he gets bashed straight away. Setsu, he uses the BKB. Astral runs away. AQ, the TP attempt from Setsu should be successful, and is. Though I believe that was his 10-second charge, and yeah, it was. That's just not the way you want to have to commit it. Still, he gets away. But Newbee are on route to really take this game on. I mean, they are playing very dominantly.
They definitely are. They've been setting the pace of the game. They've been setting the terms of engagement. They're the ones forcing the fights. They're the ones active in the map. And RNG has been more reactionary. Even when they have taken a more active role, they have been punished hard by Newbee. The counter initiation, the counter fight from these guys have just been a bit too much to handle. So they tend to trade unfavorably even when RNG is the one smoked up looking for these kills. It really boils down to, I want to say, the Slark. He's not as farmed as you'd want him to be. He only has 2 kills under his belt, 1 assist. Over the course of this game, you tend to see Slarks really come into their own at this time. Start forcing out kills, forcing out rotations, but it hasn't been working out just yet for RNG. I'm not sure if more gold's going to fix that. The BKB will definitely help, though. But the smoke rotation, let's see if they find someone.
Not anyone quite yet, and they're fighting into another Ravage. Like, Wizard already has his own BKB up now on the tide. You really don't have too many ways of shutting this man down. He's gonna run up the hill, BKB up, gonna run straight in. He sees Setsu, he takes the bounty. Setsu does not BKB himself. Oh my, he held on. He wanted to believe that they wouldn't commit the Ravage that early. Wasn't the case.
Yeah, this is going to be really rough. I'm not sure if they can defend that tier 2 without their OD, unless they really have some heavy posturing. So this might be a free tower going the way of Newbee. It does look that way.
Is it? Looking for more. Just nothing for him to be afraid of, though. Nice arrow will connect onto Fonte, and now the fortification. It will disrupt him, though. Fonte has the BKB up now. A brand new 10-second charge for him. Be another tier 2 tower, another back off. RNG still just starving on this map. Like Monet and Setsu, they've gotten the farm. It's not transitioning to anything though. Like the pure aggression from Newbee is not actually giving them a chance to try and pull anything off. Though, as I say that, they do manage to find the tide. Ice Blast, he will just BKB and walk away. And that kind of goes to show Newbee are willing to give nothing to RNG.
I think they really have to be able to do that, to make decisions like that, because they are pretty far ahead. Every single kill that goes the way of RNG is going to be much more worthwhile. So wasting a BKB to maintain that lead is worthwhile.
Well, they're going to find Kunkka. Flywood ends up going down. YG will be the one to pick that up on the Rubik. Fonte Looks like he's going to be going for an MKB up next on the Ursa. But before that, perhaps a Roshan is in order. And that is exactly where he goes.
Is under attack.
As it stands right now, RNG are in no position to try and counter this.
No, definitely not. Not without that Kunkka. You need that boat in there. You need the torrent in there.
Dire's
Your OD's just not been cutting it to contest such a tight spot. And they're going to have to give it.
Regeneration.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Jump in. Who have they found there? It is going to be the Mirana dogfights, just kind of sticking around that mid lane. Thinking he was safe, but not quite. Newbee going to take the mid tier 2 now. Again, no contestation.
Radiant's middle
An
tower
immediate smoke. Straight down towards that bot lane is where they go. Who do they find?
Dire are scanning.
RNG look like they want to fight. They're hiding in the tree line. AQ. He'll be the bait here. He BKBs up Monet. Gets lifted. Fonte jumps in. Gets the bashes. Destroys him. Now they found FF on the AA. Trying to TP out. He will not be successful and he is gone.
So you've lost a lot of your heroes on RNG's side. You've basically lost out the farm game now. 5k lead for Newbee at this point. 6 to 21, 28 minutes in. All your outer towers are gone as well. So you can't even roam around with a slaughter.
Fonte! Just jumps in and Sensu disappears. I mean, it wasn't even close. Moonlight Shadows popped. Aegis is still available on Fonte. You've still got Ravage available on YG. RNG, they're going to try and fight this out. Arrow does connect, but there's a disruption. And now Arrow's stolen, and he will throw it straight towards the Mirana, who does cop it. Fonte can't see her. Now will be able to as the Moonlight wears off. An Ice Blast will fly in. They'll get the Ursa, but again, he has a secondary life. Monet, you don't want to fight this big bear right now, Monet. He does Shadow Dance up, but there's the Ravage. They won't get Monet thanks to that BKB. And the Aegis still stands somehow. It does finally fall. But the Split Earth, they caught Flywin out, and Flywin is dead. Can you take this Ursa down a secondary time? Monet, my god, almost going down. Runs away with about 200 HP. It looks like they may have successfully defended their racks though. As Newbee, they've pushed enough. They got the tier 3. Shrines are open. They will play conservative and much more cautious, and they will back off.
Radiant's bottom
They
tower
did force the buyback out from Flywin as well, so that's not going to be there for the next fight. And overall, a pretty nice win going the way of Newbee. Not going to be unhappy about that. Very clean fights coming out from them. I don't think they even mind losing that Aegis as well. It's just, you know, you're fine. You got your objectives. You got the buyback. The Aegis was just kind of, okay, it's done something for you. Now you can go back, farm up. It does look like Fonte is flying something out in the courier, perhaps, afterwards. Or does he... I believe he's working... Yeah, it looks like he has it. He has his MKB up in the courier. Interesting choice. I'm not sure if there's any reason for that. Like, I guess the mini bash is nice. Like, the proc is nice for damage. And you have the attack speed.
Top lane. Monet. YG spots him out, blinks forward, but doesn't quite get the lift. He's got the arrow though. Monet. Oh, he cops it!
Oh my god!
What an arrow coming out from the Rubik. Just on the tail end of the Dark Pact as well. That is the most demoralizing thing I've ever seen. If you are the Slark player, that is.
Dire's
Oh man, that's a dieback as well, so this defense just got a whole lot tougher. And Newbee's not going to relent. They're basically set for it. They're just going to clear out the shrine first, but they're posturing on that tier 3 up top. It's not going to be standing for too long if they do throw their bodies at it.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Yeah, they'll leave the mid B. The Setsu does have the scythe device up now, and they smoke up. They need to make something happen. It's a 4v5 situation up against the Ravage. Arrow will not connect. Flyone gonna run in. The Copper Anchor Smash, and they'll back off. Newbee, double torrent is pretty nice. Fonte waiting for his moment to jump. And, well, it may be now as they found the Kunkka. Arrow does connect as well from YG, but here comes Setsu. He pops his own BKB. Disruption will save. BKB essentially wasted, and Fonte now ready to fight. Flyone throws the boat out. And in fact, no, neither side really wants to, apparently. They've still got the Ravage, though, Newbee. Flyone gonna be okay. And after another tier 3 and taking out half the racks, that'll be enough.
Yeah, it's just a conservative play from Newbee. They're just slowly whittling away at these objectives. I believe they were trying to bait them in so they could get a better Ravage, thinking that they were on the retreat, but RNG as well isn't willing to take these risks anymore. They're way too far behind to try to go for these chases. 6-24, 10k net worth lead for Newbee. And it's rough going. You tend to see Slarks. We always talk about this. They're supposed to come online fast, start taking over the lane after a couple of kills. It hasn't been happening for Winnie. He's been getting caught out, in fact.
Log fights. Nice break in the smoke, but they found a better target. Flyone, he's the one they really want. Monet gets started on the Rubik. Sanity's being dropped on Fonte. He melts. And now, Newbee, they don't look as strong without that Fuzzy Wuzzy. Ravage is thrown out only to protect, but they'll still lose faith on the Shadow Demon, and YG with Wizard trying to get the hell out of there. RNG are on the hunt. They want more. They came for blood. The Wizard will just juke them out. But the Sanity's Eclipse, it's one thing you can't really forget. He had 24 stolen intelligence at the time. He just drops the hammer straight on that Ursa's head. Can't sustain it.
That is one of the pitfalls of this hero. He didn't manage to get his BKB off, so the damage just came right through. Unfortunate for Newbee, but a very big move going the way of RNG. That allows them to really start securing a bit more map control. They do take that tier 2 down mid. You have a lot of gold that poured into Setsu, so he's an absolute menace right now. He's had that Hex for a while. He's going into the Hurricane Pike next, and just that added mobility could make all the difference on whether or not he can stay back and find those kills, or whether or not Newbee will jump him. This tool is going to help him a massive amount.
You kind of ask the question, right? Like, do you think they're kind of bothered by the fact that they didn't get the racks while they had the chance? Because now, like your Ursa, his BKB down to 8 seconds and only dropping faster and faster. If you lose a couple more of those engagements like that, if Fonte drops 2 Illyral Sanities, I mean, the fight's over. There's no more. The Ursa's your main source of damage. He's the big boy to be scared of. RNG, they do that one more time, this game could literally be over for Newbee because the Ursa drops off so hard.
Definitely does, right? You have a bit of a timer with this hero, and one of those timers is the BKB time. It's still pretty long, but physically, yeah, you have a limit to your scaling, and they've really got to pressure a lot more on this map, although will they be able to find something? No. Just looks like... Oh, no.
This thing, it looks like RNG want to try and fight. Newbee, Moonlight Shadow will pop. X is there on AQ. Into the torrent. They're still baiting them in. Ravage is actually not available for another 12 seconds though. Wizard, he gets caught off with the defusal. They will not fully engage, but now an arrow will connect onto the Lesh. Still no fight breaking out. And Wizard will have the Ravage now up as they do catch the Kunkka Flyone, but he just BKBs and runs out. Another arrow being thrown. Just neither side feeling confident enough to jump in and start the fight the way they want.
That hesitation is, I feel, costing Newbee a lot more though. Because again, they want to get these fights done. They want to maximize the Ursa while it's strong. Every fight they don't take is one moment where the Ursa can't make use of that massive power spike it gets to shut other enemy heroes down. And they scale a bit better, as we've been talking about all game. So you really have got to find these engagements now as Newbee, as you were finding them earlier You must force it out, or you will really start to trail behind a bit, at least on the Ursa.
AQ, bot lane, popped his BKB. I think it was up against Setsu on the OD who was chasing him down, but now mid lane, Monet will get perched up. Arrow flying out, will not connect on the Shadow Demon. Wizard looking for some sort of Ravage attempt. They've caught Monet out, and here comes Fonte jumping straight in. Shadow Dance is now popped. Wizard going to be in massive trouble. He'll need to use that Ravage soon if he wishes to survive, but Fonte finds another on Setsu. Setsu will buy back immediately on the OD, and that's enough. Arrow though, Fonte, he gets caught out. Wizard, he's got to jump in. He doesn't have his blink available right now. Faith will jump in with the disruption. Wizard still on the back lines though. Fonte, he's able to blink out. The Moonlight, Flyone wants to keep the chase up. He's so close to getting an X off, and he does find the Torrent. Still, now they may fight. They are going to take down FF on the AA. Sanities though, Setsu just destroys everybody on the side of Newbee. AQ's been caught out as well. He'll BKB up. Flyone accidentally X'd himself. That's not the X he wanted. He gets lift up, and it looks like that'll be it for him on the Kunkka. Still, great team fight for RNG, forcing out those buybacks from the side of Newbee. In fact, that was 3 buybacks. A buyback from Flyone now, as they believe they are taking the Roshan, but they are not yet. FF, going to be a dieback on the AA. Nice pick off there from YG. Still not 100% sure if they want to go for this Roshan attempt. It's probably their best chance though, while Sanities isn't available. Another arrow will connect on Wizard, but side of RNG are pretty far. And they're going to allow this Roshan to just be taken by the side of Newbee. Although, nice arrow again, just isn't going to lead to anything. They'll guard Fonte while he grabs the Aegis. He's got his MKB up now as well. I assume after he picks up his full Abyssal Blade, he'll probably be willing to just go for that final push that he's looking for.
Definitely. He did just give himself the Agnes as well. So that is, that is the Ags up on him. Lower cooldown and rage, and allows him to turn that on during disable. It's massively useful, especially when he does get caught out like that.
That certainly is. Newbee, with all this, can they finish this game? RNG, they're ready to fight. Wizard still has the Ravage, by the way. It's Monte gonna jump in onto Faith. Arrow won't connect. YG, he'll jump in as well. Wizard still holding on. Meanwhile, Fonte tried to go after Setsu but couldn't get the bash. Wizard now being used up, can't blink because of the Ice Blast passive, and instead they are going to go after the bottom shrine.
Yeah, might as well be able to take those objectives off the map, but rather unfortunate they do not manage to find that one big kill. If they found a kill in Monet, that would have been massive. Unfortunately, they don't manage to get all the control in time before the BKBs went up, so a bit of a wasted opportunity. On the bright side, Gracie does have Ghost Trip once again. So if ever this fight does break out in the next few minutes, they're going to have that ship up.
FF getting lifted up. YG, another setup for the team, and that anchor smash, that's a lot of damage. And with that, the AA doesn't have buyback. Do they make the push? AQ, he says absolutely, let's go. Nice stun, straight on Monet, but he had the Dark Pack there. Arrow though, dogfights with the setup, but YG with the lift again. This Rubik has constantly made RNG's life a living hell. Monet losing a lot of HP. Setsu jumps in as well, but Wizard, he wants to set up for this Ravage. Monet, he's going to run out of that BKB, and Newbee aren't going to back off this time around. They'll wait out AQ to TP back into this lane with full mana and full HP. They have bought time though for FF to buy back, or not buy back, but respawn. But at the very least, the only person with buyback is the Slark now.
That's going to be a bit of an issue, especially if you get a couple of big pickoffs. I think if you lose your Kunkka or OD at this point, it's going to be a very hard defense with only the Slark court to help out. So we've got to watch out for that.
I'm shocked that
Mone's-
Newbee's backing off here.
I think they're trying to bait in. They're just waiting in place.
Yeah, but... Well, maybe you're right. They jump in. The Ursa, been disarmed. Fonte. My problem with that was Wizard wasn't even there, John. He ran towards the top power room. You would have loved to see a Ravage in that moment.
They've been really patient with that Ravage, although...
I mean, I can't blame him. Obviously, he wants to use it after those BKBs have worn out by the cores. Maybe a bit of misfortunate timing for Wizard, who did go and get that Invis rune up top as the fight was breaking out.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trade-off. Are you going to go secure perhaps a great utility rune, or hang around and wait for the trap to be sprung? Unfortunately, you can't have the best of both worlds here, and a missed opportunity so far. It's a patience game now. It's a war of attrition now. Newbee just on the constant aggressive push forward, just dipping in and out of that jungle every single time. They can't, when the creep wave's right at the edge and they don't want to commit yet. So they're just going to be taking it slow and building up their farm. You already have the Abyssal up on Fonte. He has that instantaneous lockdown of his own now. He can really just go on to someone, make their life living hell. He also has his 25 down. He has that 80% stat resist. Not going to be able to lock in this Ursa whenever that enrage is up.
And now a double damage for Fonte.
Double damage.
That's a nice rune if I've ever seen one for an Ursa. He'll rush down mid now. There's been no better time for Newbee. So as I say that, the Aegis does expire. You still go for the fight. I mean, you don't have the Aegis now.
You could still go for it as Newbee. You are far enough ahead that you can still make something happen. 13k net worth lead.
RNG
The next rush is...
smoked up. Moonlight Shadow's there as well. They know where the side of Newbee are. They've just got to find that initiation that they want. Fonte's the main target. If they take him out, the fight's over. And yeah, they jumped him straight away, but he blinks out. Now AQ jumps in. Boat flies out, but won't really connect on anyone. AQ losing a bit of HP, but he's still alright as they're going to try and turn this now. Newbee. With the 4 staffs out. Battle runes are up. RNG and Newbee will both back off. I mean, they have a 14k net worth lead, but just not willing to really push the issue quite yet.
They need to find a way to start these fights and find Monet. That looks to be what they're really worried about. When Monet comes in with his BKB, they just all stand back. It's going to be rough as long as they don't catch the Slark out.
Pounce. Gonna be there on Wizard. Monet's BKB is down to 5 seconds. Nice side device comes out straight onto Wizard. He's still going to be okay though, but it's a lot of stolen int going the way of OD, or more so just 8. But every int counts. AQ stuns up Monet. Monet dark packs it off. Setsu again stealing more int for himself. And he can just slowly add this up and drop his sanities later on just by surprise. And Newbee, I don't see them jumping. Yeah, they're backing up.
Can't blame them. The high ground's just too tough right now. RNG is looking pretty darn good. They're holding quite well. Props to them, despite this deficit of still finding a grip on this high ground. I do believe the next major objective we're going to be seeing from Newbee, if not the high ground, will be that Rochelle Dome.
Well, they try and jump on Monet. He's not quite there. Wizard doesn't want to die like this. Still pretty tanky though. Cops a torrent, cops an arrow. Now do they go? Not quite though. AQ runs in with the shivers. BKB up. Flywind copping a fair bit of damage. You've also got the OD in the Astral, but no, they get him out. And with that, Wizard now going to get turned on, but he's got a BKB up. Moonlight Shadow. Arrow will fly, will not connect on anybody, but Monet is not done. He's had enough of this waiting game. Glimmer Cape there from Wizard. Split Earth, Newbee are out. Though, they should be able to find the SD. In fact, no, now they turn it around. Fonte, he found Setsu. There's the Ravage. It does connect on two. They found Monet on the Slark. He buys back immediately, and now the Ice Blast going to fly in. Not going to be really that great, though, as it only cops on faith. But there's the Sanities. They've got Fonte as well in the Ursa. He's got no buyback.
Wait, what? What did he buy?
Well, now I can see why they were playing so passive.
I don't get that. Like, he's had a massive amount of gold. He's had an Abyssal for a while. How did he not save for buyback there? That's a lot of time they just spent farming up. That's a strange thing to happen, but now Newbee is on a very precarious situation. They're going to be giving away this Roche. That's the refresh and the Ags up. You're going to have to play into that now as well. You have to note, refresh, if you give it to Setsu, he's going to have his Santies back up, and we saw how fast the enemy cores of Newbee melts to that spell. At this point, the OD is just way too massive in terms of damage output. Yeah, they give Setsu the refresh. He's going to have that option, double Hex, double Santies Eclipse if so ever. So you really have to watch out here in this high ground defense now as Newbee.
Yeah, you certainly do. The tides have changed. I mean, that was a 10k swing. Win probability slowly going up for the side of RNG. Now they're feeling a lot more confident. They jump in straight on Wizard. Get rid of this tide. He doesn't have Ravage anyway. But you just don't want him anchor smashing your creep wave the whole time. And in fact, Setsu jumps back in, refreshes. He'll have Sanities up. But Wizard blinked out immediately. And now, well, Setsu, they're going to jump in. They're going to try and make the chase, but Monet straight onto Faith. Pounces back onto Wizard now. He's stolen a fair bit of stats. Still going. There's the Sanities. They found two of them. No buybacks on either. They've lost the tier 3 tower. The tide will buy back. He doesn't have Ravage, though. Not for another 25 seconds. They're going to try and take advantage of this on the side of RNG. Monet with that Aegis can afford to be on the front lines. In fact, Setsu, he's had enough. Gets a Hex off, but hexes himself as well. Still, he'll be X back. Setsu. Also Monet. Pounce. Gonna be good. Wizard, though, so tanky. Sanity's being dropped. That was from YG. And that wasn't the best Sanities from a Rubik, but I guess he can't really steal intelligence. Another X onto Wizard, into the arrow, into the torrent. Still, he gets 4-staffed out. Monet, can they find AQ on the Lesh? Well, Monet's losing a lot of HP, and now Fontaine's back. Ravage from Wizard is massive. They'll get Setsu on the OD. They found dogfights on the Mirana. Monet still trying to fight YG, but the Aeon Disc has been procced. Flywind gonna keep going. All buybacks are there from the side of RNG. As Monet, can he kill AQ off? He's just so darn tanky. He eats a cheese now. Still going down, but Fonte on Setsu to be a dieback, but no. Hurricane Pike is there. They found Flywind on the Kunkka though. And Monet's had enough of this. He wants to get out. And so...
And that's a really, really big swing around this time. Going back to Newbee, they've regained that gold lead at 10k. They force out some buybacks from RNG that do not pay off. Despite having all those tools from the Roche pit, RNG don't actually manage to take any high ground towers. They only do some damage to that mid. Everything else is still pretty healthy for Newbee. They're going to be very happy with that. And they have a lot more to work with, again, as they manage to turn the tides back their way. All the tier 3s of RNG are taken out. So the racks are all exposed. The issue is getting to that high ground. It's still a tall ask. Unless they find a pick-off somehow, then Newbee would be very confident going up. Otherwise, we're going to see the same back and forth more than likely. Although Newbee is setting themselves up here. And up top, Setsu?
Oh, Setsu.
Setsu?
That's a dieback on the OD. That is not the play. There will be a buyback from Flywind though. They're going to try and go into Wizard. But doesn't look like it's going to really work out. This Wizard is just too tanky. So they'll finally get a ranged barracks. If they find any more Wizard, he's still way too tanky to go on. In fact, Monet getting dropped. Not quite though. They'll force staff him out. He will survive. And now the mid-racks finally getting taken out. Completely gone. Flywind gonna throw the bow down on YG, but he'll force stuff out of there. You've still got 83 seconds without the OD available. They go straight down to the bot lane. Where they will find the Mirana. Split Earth will not connect though. It was a bit too early on. Ravage is gonna actually be up in 3 seconds. He just needs the mana for it. They'll give him the bottle, Wizard. I don't know if RNG will be expecting this. But Wizard is healing up the mana with that bottle, getting ready for his massive Ravage. And they are going to get started. They found Flywind on the Kunkka. He'll BKB up, but there's an Abyssal from Fonte. Still, they will not jump in all the way as Monet is still a very, very scary kind of thing to jump into. So the top racks, Megas, coming up. They will find him. Nice torrent from the Kunkka, but Fonte has found FF. They found another with that Hex Kunkka. Flywind doesn't want to die like this. Looks like he has no choice in the matter. He'll throw out another boat. The stun is there. He goes down with no buyback either. Monet, the last one standing to fight, but the GG's been called by Setsu. That'll be the first game going to the side of Newbee. 54.5 minutes in.
I mean, that's a really dominant game one coming out from Newbee. 15 to 39, a 20k net worth lead at the end. There were signs of life from RNG. They take a couple of good fights. They secured a Roche. Unfortunately, they just couldn't transition that to a high ground push. In the end, their buybacks there really cost them. Newbee, they saw an opening, they took it, and they do take game one for themselves here.
Well, with that, John, of course, we've got game 2 coming up very, very soon, so we'll have to go jump in the lobby. It is MLP, Dota, and John X Fire. We'll see you guys very, very soon for that game number 2. Won't be too